So thanks to everyone for joining us today to hear more about how to apply to the Ocean Partnership Grants. We will just cover a few agenda points and welcoming introductions before getting into the bulk of the webinar today. So just on your screen, you'll be able to see the plan for the sessions this afternoon. We'll start with some welcoming introductions to the wider Ocean team. Then we'll cover off the key eligibility criteria, focusing on eligible organisations, themes, consultations with FCDO posts and British embassies around the world. We'll then cover a bit more information on how to apply, some of the key information sources that are available, before going into more detail on the application requirements and then opening up for some questions and answers at the end. So, just to start off with some introductions. So Ocean is managed by the UK Government's Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs and is administrated by NIRAS. And we've just got on the screen here a list of the key team members from the two teams at DEFRA and NIRAS. So I'll just run through very quickly. So from DEFRA, Ilona Drury is the Senior Responsible Officer for Ocean. We then have Hannah Boyne, who's the team leader, Victoria Bendel, who's on the call with us today, who's the Senior Policy Advisor and Contract Manager, and then Ethan Rose, who is a Policy Advisor at DEFRA for Ocean. Then from the Grant Administrator side, we have myself, Billy Currier, who's the Programme Manager, Valentina Patti, who's on the call today with us, who's the Grants Manager, Yolanda Sanchez, who is our Fund Engagement Manager, Nicola Plowman, who's our Monitoring, Evaluation and Learning Lead, who will be joining the session just in a little while, Rachel Woods, our Finance Administrator, and Claire Gorman, who's the Communications and Learning Manager. So we just want to give a bit of an introduction to the faces behind the screen and who will be supporting and helping run the Ocean Grants programme. So just to start off with, we're going to launch a quick poll to just understand a little bit more about your understanding and knowledge and awareness of the actual Ocean application process. So I'm just going to launch this now, and hopefully this should start to appear on your screens. If you could just give us an indication of what your understanding is, then we'll be able to hopefully get a feel for where we need to focus our efforts today and hopefully try and build that understanding. So I'll just wait for a few seconds whilst we get some responses in. I can see that we're at kind of a range from moderate, low, very low, some high, some very high. So I think quite a range of people here today, which is good to see. We'll also definitely be able to help develop anyone's understanding of this throughout the next hour and a half. So I will just end the poll now and share those results so everyone can see on their screens the outcome of that. But as said, we're very much here to help develop understanding of the Ocean application process. So hopefully you'll be able to take away over the next hour and a half and to help develop that understanding of the application process. So I will hand to Valentina to just talk about eligibility and sorry, no, I'm not handing to Valentina. I just thought, look, I think I'm covering this this section. Sorry, apologies. So yes, I will just talk to you a little bit about eligibility, eligible organisations, thematic areas, and budget before handing to Valentina at the next section to pick up further on the application process. So just to get stuck into some of the content this afternoon. So the Ocean Community Empowerment and Nature Grants Programme is a new official development assistance competitive grants programme. It's expected to run from now. We launched on the 5th of February until the 31st of March 2029, and will provide an investment of up to £60 million. And the idea and kind of aim and objective behind Ocean is that we'll be supporting innovative proposals from local coastal communities and organisations that aim to deliver marine protection and reduce poverty worldwide. So as mentioned, it's funded by UK International Development and is administered and managed by NIRAS. And our overall goal for the programme is to place the ocean on a path to recovery and for local communities and nature to thrive side by side. So we wanted to just share a very quick overview. I'm sure people have probably started to understand a little bit about Ocean now from previous webinars and website, but wanted to just make sure that we're covering an overview of the programme. For today's session, Ocean has two different funding pathways: the community grants, which is targeted at grant sizes of up to £250,000 and is for more focused on targeting smaller in-country organisations and local communities. And then we've got the partnership grants, which is a grant size of £250,000 up to £3 million. And this is targeted at larger organisations or consortia, and must focus on having partnerships with local organisations in countries. For today's session, this is focused on how to apply for a partnerships grant. So we'll be covering all the key requirements and required information to submit an application for partnership grants only. If you're here and would like to find more information about the community grants, then we recommend joining our webinar tomorrow, where we'll be going into more detail about how to develop a concept note for the community grants application process. But as mentioned, today we'll be focusing on partnership grants. I'm just going to pause a second. If anyone does have any questions as we go through all of the next set of slides, then there is a Q&A function that is open. Please feel free to pop your questions into the Q&A, and we will make sure to pick those up at the end of the session. The chat is also enabled, so please do feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat, share a little bit of information about yourselves, but please don't ask questions in the chat because they won't be answered if they're. Make sure they go into the Q&A and we will answer them from the Q&A function. If there are questions that you would like to see answered, or that you have a similar question, then please do upvote those questions, and we'll be answering questions in terms of the most votes. So do use the upvote function where possible to try and highlight key or popular questions that you want to see answered. So going back into partnership grants. So these grants, as mentioned, are from £250,000 to £3 million. The duration is from 1 year as a minimum, and the project can last up to the 31st of March 2029. Applications must have a partner with local or community groups or organisations working in coastal communities. So that's a key requirement for this programme, is that the partnership grants, to be eligible, you have to have an in-country partner that you're working with. And as part of this process, applications must be submitted in English to our partnership grants. In terms of what applications will be assessed on, we're looking to assess applications around how effectively the proposed projects engage with and work alongside local communities to deliver marine and poverty reduction outcomes, and potential ability to scale through either large scale or easily scalable inclusive partnerships to provide maximum impact. So eligible lead organisations. So to be a lead organisation and be the organisation that submits the application, then you must be able to demonstrate that you are a non-profit or a non-profit organisation. So some examples of what this might include are on the screen. So local community groups, organisations, civil society organisations, non-profit organisations, non-governmental organisations, or academic or research institutions. However, organisations such as government agencies, intergovernmental organisations, or private sector organisations are not examples of organisations that are not eligible to apply as lead organisations, given that they don't fall under this category of being a non-profit organisation. When trying to work out if you are eligible to apply as your organisation specifically to the partnership grants, there's some key criteria on the screen now that you need to take into consideration and factor in when trying to make this decision. So first of all, the partnership grants is aimed at medium to large organisations, and therefore you must have an annual income of over £1 million, and this is based off a 3-year average to be eligible to apply as a lead organisation for the partnership grants. Organisations should also have a good track record of implementing projects at scale. This may be international, and could be across different themes or budget sizes, but we need to be able to understand that these organisations have that good track record. You must have at least one partner organisation registered in the same country as the project. So when submitting your application, you need to be able to evidence and include at least one partner in the same country as the project in your application to be eligible. You must be staffed with appropriate technical and financial capacity to be able to implement the project. And organisations must have safeguarding policies in place, fully established, and that meet the IASC minimum operating standard and core humanitarian standards. So looking at our partner organisations, so as mentioned, applications must list at least one partner organisation as based in the same country as the project. These partners can be a range of different types of organisations, including non-profit organisations. It can also include government agencies and intergovernmental organisations. And we do encourage these to partner on a project. However, please be aware that government agencies and intergovernmental organisations cannot receive funding from Ocean. So if they are built into your project as a partner, then their support must be provided in kind. Private sector organisations are also eligible to be a partner on a project, and they are eligible to receive funding for support, but this needs to evidence good value for money. So please do try and describe when putting your application forwards how using a private sector organisation as a partner does represent good value for money, and make sure that this is developed as through being contracted to undertake specific planned actions for the project.
Billy, just before you go on, we had a request in the chat if you could try to speak a little more slowly for Spanish speakers who are on the call.
Yeah, of course. Sorry, it's a bit of a fast speaker. So I'll try and slow down a little bit. Just before I go on to the next slide, the final point just to cover in terms of partner organisations. So we do expect projects and project partners to be involved or support the co-design of projects with the lead organisation. So we really want meaningful engagement and partnerships through this programme. We want to see that any partners are involved in the various stages, and they're not just additions to the project to help promote the project and maybe increase the chances of securing funding. These should be meaningful engagements and partnerships that will just help the overall implementation and success of the project. So I'll just move on to some of the thematic areas. So Ocean is targeting support at the local level through the partnership grants scheme. This is to be implemented through creating those partnerships, and projects should aim to achieve both marine protection and multi-dimensional poverty reduction. They should help promote capacity exchange and community empowerment. All projects should have an element of also promoting gender equality and social inclusion, and should work at the local level and with countries in organisations in country through creating these partnerships. The projects can also relate to one of the 7 different Blue Planet Fund key outcomes, which are on the screen here. But please be aware, this isn't mandatory. There is a question in the application form for you to acknowledge whether you are working towards one of these outcomes, but it's not mandatory. You can also work in other areas, but we are interested to see if your project does align to any of these. So just as part of the application process, one of the key requirements we want to just highlight up front in this presentation today is that you are required, as part of the application process for the partnership grants pathway, to have consultation with British Embassy or High Commission and local government officials as part of your application and the design and development of your project. So lead organisations are required to connect with the nearest regional foreign Commonwealth and Development Office to discuss their project proposal. And this is to include either reaching out to the British Embassy, the High Commission, or the FCDO post, and to discuss your project with them. When doing this, you should be able to share some ideas about your project design, ask for any comments, and in the application form, you will be asked to provide evidence of trying to make this contact. Please, if you do not receive contact or do not receive a response to your request, this does not make you not eligible. You are still able to apply. You just need to be able to evidence to us that you have tried to contact your local British Embassy and that if they haven't responded, that you can just evidence that you've tried to make that contact. So in terms of your application, that could just be uploading a PDF of the contact or email that you've tried to reach out to make contact with, or it could be uploading evidence of that conversation that you've had with them. We do recommend that you try and make this contact at the earliest opportunity to allow sufficient time for engagement. The quicker you do reach out, the more chance that you will have the evidence required to submit alongside your application, but also the more time you will have to maybe be able to host a more meaningful engagement or conversation with British Embassy or High Commission representatives or local government. Yeah. So, and just finally for myself before I pass to Valentina, so as grant administrators, NIRAS are here to offer direct support to all applicants and grantees through the help desk. You can request this support at any time, or if you have any questions, all you need to do is email the email address that's on the screen. Just to be aware, we won't be able to assess your proposals regarding appropriate themes. Like we're here to be able to guide you with your eligibility requirements or completing the application forms, and we do have application guidance available to help you understand further the process of submitting your application. But yeah, please do reach out with any questions and we will try and help you with anything that comes that you need help with.